OCYRUS is an award-nominated author and poet currently serving in the United States Air Force. He's also a husband, father, brother, video game and anime-loving nerd. And he's been writing since childhood, but published his first book, titled Sacred, on the 31st of October 2022. And his latest release is called Goodbye, John. And OCYRUS joins us now. How are you today?
I'm doing very well this morning. How about yourself?
I'm brilliant, thank you. So, of course, as I mentioned, your latest release is called Goodbye, John. What was the inspiration behind this book?
What ended up happening was my wife, she was giving birth to our twins. After she gave birth to them, we were in the hospital. I actually had this stuffed animal that I grew up with since I was, way back when I was, I think, 9 or 10. I'm 34 now. And I had this stuffed animal with me. Grew a lot of memories, fond memories with this stuffed animal. I brought that same stuffed animal with me to the hospital when our newborn twins were birthed into this world. And I needed to go stop by to go get something to eat for my wife. So she asked, "Hey, can you go get me some food?" I said, okay. So she was holding on to John. When I left, apparently her bathroom had flooded. And because, she just gave birth, they moved her hospital room to a different one. When I came back, they redirected me to a new hospital room, told me what happened. I came back talking to my wife. Okay, everything's fine. Several hours later, I ended up asking, "Hey, where's John at?" And she told me, "Oh my goodness, I'm not sure." So we went back to the other hospital room, looked everywhere for him. I mean, I know that it's funny because it's just a stuffed animal, but that thing has some memories behind it. Moral of the story, they could not locate John. They couldn't locate that stuffed animal, and it was a bit heartbreaking. Granted, my children are born and they're in that same hospital, but at the same time, it's kind of a dang that was close to me. That meant it was a symbol to our family, and it's just gone like that. And so I eventually decided to make a little adorable kid story out of that and kind of fictionalize parts of it a little bit and make it to where I'm actually handing that stuffed animal to somebody else for them to form their own memory. So another bit of a long-winded answer, but that's where the inspiration came from real life experience.
It's so true, isn't it? It may appear worthless, and it probably only is worth a few pounds, if that, but it has such sentimental value. It's like you can't put a price on it if it goes missing.
That's for sure. Yeah, that's for sure.
And where do you think John is now? Do you think he's ended up in some bin, or do you think maybe he was given to one of the babies at the hospital and has a new life?
Oh no, he was in the bin. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he met a terrible fate.
Yeah. What can we expect from reading this book? I mean, you mentioned it was a children's book, isn't it? So is that the target audience and the level it's at?
Oh, yes. So really the tale of the book is just about a young child who was given this stuffed animal. Well, he bought this stuffed animal. He grew up with it, and when he grew too old to hold on to it, he decides to give that same stuffed animal to another child so they can form their own great memories with that stuffed animal. And honestly, the stuffed animal is just it's supposed to represent something special for somebody. So for anybody, it doesn't have to necessarily be a stuffed animal. It could be whatever symbolizes their childhood that they grew up with and gave away. For me, it was just a stuffed animal. And so I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And your previous book, your first book that you released back in October, was called Sacred, which was a poetry book. So how did you find the transition between writing poetry and writing a children's book? Are they similar? Because maybe sometimes they both can rhyme.
Oh yes, no, that's a great question. So with Sacred, that is poetry. So how I transition between the two, because I'm actively actually working on a poetry book right now, and also a children's book. And so generally in the morning time, it's when I let's say from 3:30 to about 6:30 a.m. On my time, it's generally when I'm writing my other stories, like children's books or fictionalized stories. Later in the evening, after I've had a hard day, been with the family and crazy days at work, that's when my mind is more in a dark place, and I can hone in on all those emotions, because my poetry is really emotional based. I'm not sure for other poets, but for myself, I generally will only write when I have these emotions. So when the person reads it, you can feel my words jumping right off of the page, and at least, and that's what I've been told. But that's what I feel when I'm writing, and it comes from the gut, man.
Yeah.
It comes from a deep place, and so and that generally is more effective in the evening. In the morning, fresh mind, fresh thinking. The day hasn't started. My mind is more in a creative space to generate good fiction stories. And in the evening, poetry.
And you're a video game and anime loving nerd as well. Do these interests influence your writing at all?
It does, actually. Yeah, for sure. Like there's the video game one specifically is this creator. His name is Hideo Kojima. He's a designer or creator behind Metal Gear Solid and all these other games like Death Stranding and things like that. And then Attack on Titan by Isayama. I forgot his first name, but their storytelling ability is really intrinsic to me. I really honed in on their style of telling stories. I mean, I also like Dragon Ball Z, and so I got a little bit of my influence of action from there as well. But yes, the video games and the anime do influence my writing.
Yeah. And you've also got your own imprint called OCYRUS Ink Publishing. So what are your goals for that, and why did you decide to actually set up your own imprint?
You know, it's interesting because I wasn't initially planning on doing any sort of imprint of my own. I just was just going to go the self-publishing route and kind of see where that took me. But it was a gut feeling. Just kind of had this inner voice that was just telling me, hey, you should start your own. You should start your own. And I never really honed in on it until I did, and then it all started to make sense. But I love the idea of ownership and being able to do things for myself without having to wait on somebody else. And then also the point of my own publishing company, the idea is to hone in on ownership and being able to really help people. Granted, I only have one other author right now that's working with me in my publishing company, but just the idea of being able to create and produce your own work that there's stories that's worth being told that you may not be seeing in mainstream bookstores or book telling. There's a lot of stories that's being told, so I won't say that's fact based. But just when I see in bookstores and different book covers, a lot of them have the same type of look. For me, I'd like to kind of project something different, and I know that goes against the grain, but ultimately my goal for having my own book company is just be able to produce my own work, and hopefully down the road be able to get other people who would like to have an opportunity to work with an independent publisher to be able to get them to that next level. And I'm not saying that because I have my own too, I wouldn't work with like traditional publishing, like the big house publishing companies. But I'm definitely on this path right now of building my own and seeing where that takes me. But I'm always willing to talk about to negotiate and see how things can go down the road.
Yeah. Now, because you run your own imprint and you're writing all these books and serving in the US Air Force, and of course you're a husband and father, how do you balance all these and not get too busy?
That right there, it took some time, but like right now, my time, how it generally looks is like 3 o'clock to about 6 o'clock to 6:30 is my time alone. About 6:30 to maybe 7:30, I start getting ready for work, but that's around the time I'm getting ready to go to work. So 3:30, 5:30. I'm sorry, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or 6:30. Writing, exercising, and then that 6:30, 7:30, I'm getting ready for work. I'm at work, and then boom, I'm at work. When I get off, the rest of the day is committed to being with my family, but their majority of the time they're asleep in the morning, so I can actually hone in on to have some time to myself. And that's kind of how it's been. As far as like the Air Force and the work goes, I make sure that while I'm there, that's what I'm focused on. So when I come home, I don't have anything to worry about when it comes to work. And so so that's kind of how the balance goes.
Well, what's coming up for you? Do you have more books that you're working on in the early hours of the morning?
Oh, I do actually. Yep. I have three more books coming out this year. At least that's the plan right now. We have one is called Dear Sick Mental Virus. That one is a poetry book set to release September 1st. And that one is geared towards mental illnesses. And September, at least in the U.S., is Mental Health Awareness Month. And then in October, I have a children's book coming out. It's called Graveside of Mahogany. That one's it's not a horror based book. It's a book dealing more with psychosis with horror elements to it. So it's an interesting story. And then of course, and in November I have a book. It's called Just for You. It's a romance novel that I'm going to release. Then hopefully next year, I'm not sure at what point next year, but next year we're looking to release my graphic novel titled No More Bloodshed. And I'm really excited to see what that one. I'm working with the illustrator right now, Desh Ross, and see how he's just been amazing to work with. And I'm also one other book is like my Abel Jr. series. I think we're going to release that one sometime next year as well. It's called Abel Jr.'s Home Before Sunset. So that's a children's book as well. So we got about 5 books that's in the works. So yeah, I'm staying busy.
Yeah, certainly. Well, where are we able to find your latest book, Goodbye, John, and Sacred as well?
Okay, yeah. You can go. You can either go through my website, which is www.OCYRUSINK.com. OCYRUS Ink is spelled OCYRUSINK.com. And then you can just click through. It's on the homepage, and you can just click on the links there, and it'll lead you to where you can purchase them, which is on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Majority of people have purchased my books through Amazon. So feel free to go there. If you want to leave a review, feel free. If not, that's fine too. As long as the story is and the book is in your hand, and the story can be told, or you can enjoy the story.
Well, many thanks for talking to us today. Sorry for invading your alone time at 5:30 in the morning, but thanks for coming on and have a great day.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.